Jamie Robinson is the number 80 player on my big board and my 17th ranked defensive back in the draft. He was a 4-star recruit who started his career at South Carolina before transferring to Florida State prior to the 2021 season. He is 5'11", 191 pounds with 29 and 5/8 inch arms. He ran a 4.59 40-yard dash and had a 6.07 relative athletic score. In 2022, he had 99 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 interception, 5 passes defensed, and 1 fumble recovery. Robinson is a highly versatile player. He played both safety spots in college with 759 snaps split between them. He was at linebacker for 633 snaps and in the slot for 1,348 snaps. So he's a versatile player you can use in multiple roles in your defense. In addition, he's a high motor player who's always around the football. He just is there to make plays wherever the ball carrier is. I think he's best near the line of scrimmage in the run game where he can use his instincts to get to the ball fast, and he's a very good tackler with only a 7.3% missed tackle rate in his career. In terms of coverage, he excels in the robber role in coverage where he can step down from the safety position, read a quarterback's eyes, and not have a set responsibility in terms of man coverage. As for his weaknesses, he's not great in man-to-man coverage, and that shows up on the tape, but he also doesn't have the range to really be a deep safety. That's why it's nice to see him stepping down from that robber role. He's also very small, 19th percentile height, 5th percentile weight, 2nd percentile arms, and so that's going to limit his ability to play against bigger, more physical receivers, and on top of that, he's not the fastest player on the field. I think his best scheme fit is going to be a split field safety or a box safety in a zone-heavy scheme that allows him to use his instincts, reading and reacting to the quarterback. Devon Achain is my number 79 player on my big board and the 6th rank running back in this class. He was a 4-star prospect coming out of high school, the number 4 rated all-purpose back in his class. He was first-team All-SEC in 2022 when he racked up 1,102 yards, 5.6 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. He also caught 36 passes for 196 yards and 3 touchdowns. He forced 53 missed tackles and had 705 yards after contact. He is 5'8", 188 pounds, and ran a 4.32 40, which is 98th percentile. He ended with a 7.04 relative athletic score. Devon Achain has elite athleticism. He ran track for Texas A&M and ran a 10.14 100-meter dash, which is the 10th fastest in Texas A&M track history. He has elite top-end speed and quickness on the football field. He also has good patience and vision. He does a good job of not getting too cute when he needs to get to the sticks. He'll lower his pads. He hits the right holes. He's even a good pass catcher, and he even was aligned in the slot at times for Texas A&M. In addition, he's a dangerous kick returner. He averaged 30.7 yards per kick return and had 2 kick return touchdowns for Texas A&M. As for his weaknesses, he does lack size and power. He is 13th percentile for height, 3rd percentile for weight, and so that will limit his goal line and short yardage ability at the next level, and it also causes concerns about his long-term durability in the NFL where everyone is bigger and faster and stronger than who he played against in the SEC. Also, stemming from that size, he's awful in pass protection. He's just not able to pick up blitzing linebackers and prevent them from getting to the quarterback, which will limit his usefulness on 3rd down at the next level. I think he projects well as a rotational back and a special teamer early in his career, and hopefully he can add some size to give him some more durability and 3-down ability in the NFL. Owen Papo is the number 78 player on my big board and my 7th ranked linebacker in the class. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and a team captain for Auburn in 2021 and 2022. In his 4 seasons at Auburn, he's played more than 2,200 defensive snaps. 2022 was his most productive season, coming off of a leg injury in 2021. He racked up 91 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 3 passes defensed, and 2 forced fumbles. He is 6 foot, 225 pounds, and ran a 4.39 40-yard dash, which was 98th percentile at the combine. And he knocked out 29 reps on the bench press, which is 92nd percentile. Overall, he has a 9.31 relative athletic score. Papo has an excellent football IQ. Routinely on the field, you can see him adjusting the defense to counter what he sees from the offense pre-snap. He has those coach on the field vibes. He's a dynamic athlete with tremendous range in coverage. He's not just fast at the combine, he's fast on the field, and he hits his landmarks effortlessly in zone coverage while doing a really good job of keying in on the quarterback's eyes and reacting appropriately. However, he does struggle to handle offensive linemen in the run game. He prefers to avoid blocks over shedding them, and a lot of that comes from him being undersized. He's only 13th percentile for height and 5th percentile for weight. He's also very susceptible to play action, and a lot of that comes from trying to beat blockers to the spot to make up for that inability to shed blocks. That's something he's going to have to work on at the next level. I think he projects to the NFL as a will linebacker, someone who hopefully won't be on the front side of a lot of runs, but will be able to roam in zone coverage and help shore up the second level of a defense. Eli Ricks is the 77th rated player on my big board and my 16th ranked defensive back in this class. He started his career as a true freshman at LSU and was one of the best cornerbacks in the country. In year 2, he struggled with injuries before transferring to Alabama for the 2022 season, where he didn't become a starter until week 8. Once becoming a starter, he shined on the field. He had 13 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and 4 passes defensed on the season. Ricks is 6'2", 188 pounds, 21 and a half years old. He ran a 4.6 40-yard dash and has a 5.03 relative athletic score. Ricks has a high IQ in zone coverage. He does a good job of showing different looks pre-snap. For example, he'll show inside leverage and then jump to the outside as the receiver comes off the line. He does things to confuse both the receiver and the quarterback. He reads route concepts well, and he triggers on targets to make plays on the football. In man coverage, he plays physically through the release, and he maintains good contact as he carries routes vertically up the field. I think he's very good at pressing both out of man and out of zone coverage alignments. As for his weaknesses, he doesn't have top-level athleticism, and he does give up separation if his jam doesn't disrupt wide receivers enough, which could be problematic going against receivers that will be more physical in the NFL. Shifty wide receivers give him a lot of trouble underneath when they're able to get off of his press easily. And I just don't think he's strong enough or heavy enough to impose his will at the NFL level like he did in college. He's only 30th percentile for weight, and although he's 93rd percentile for height and he's long and can get hands on you, I just don't know that he's going to dominate at the line of scrimmage like he did in the SEC. I think he projects best to the NFL as a press zone corner where he can use his jams and then he can get off of those, carry the receiver, and then key on the quarterback's eyes and react underneath. Tajay Spears is the number 76 player on my big board and my 5th ranked running back in this class. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, and he had a limited role in 2019, tore his ACL in early 2020, and then finally burst onto the scene for Tulane in 2021. He is 5'9", 201 pounds, had a 39-inch vertical, which is 91st percentile, ran a 4.5 440, and has an overall 7.46 relative athletic score. In 2022, he rushed for 1,581 yards, 6.9 yards per attempt, 19 touchdowns, and he also had 22 receptions for 256 yards and 2 touchdowns. Spears possesses breakaway speed and has tons of quickness and agility. He makes it very difficult for defenders to square him up, and then he plays through contact once they do. In addition to that, he's got really good vision behind the line of scrimmage. He's good at sticking his foot in the ground, getting upfield, especially out of zone running schemes. Unfortunately, his size makes him a likely committee back. He's only 27th percentile height, 18th percentile for weight, and he only has modest production as a receiver as well, although I do think he catches the ball really well. He just wasn't given a lot of reps there at Tulane. He also wasn't the best in pass protection throughout the season, but I did think he improved in that regard at the Senior Bowl, and so I think that ability is there to get him on the field on third downs, but we'll have to see that at the next level. In addition to that, he has just unknown special teams ability. He wasn't used on special teams at Tulane, and that's such an important role for running backs on day 2 and 3 in the draft. If they can come in and contribute on special teams, it helps them get up draft boards. Overall, I think he's a fairly diverse scheme fit. I think he's going to be best served as a committee back in a zone running scheme that will maybe give him the opportunity to catch some more balls out of the backfield, where I think he could thrive at the next level. Cedric Tillman is my 75th ranked player in the draft and my 10th ranked wide receiver. He was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school who redshirted in 2018 and then played off of the bench in 2019 and 2020 before breaking out in 2021 and becoming the first Tennessee receiver to have a 1,000-yard season since Justin Hunter in 2012. Unfortunately, an ankle injury in 2022 led to a surgery, and it caused him to only appear in 6 games. In those 6 games, he had 37 receptions for 417 yards, 11.3 yards per reception, and 3 touchdowns. However, in 2021, as I mentioned, he had 1,081 yards and 12 touchdowns. He is 6'3", 213 pounds, and ran a 4.54 40-yard dash. He had a 37-inch vertical leap, which was 70th percentile, and overall he had a 9.51 relative athletic score. Cedric Tillman is a big-bodied wide receiver in a class that features very few options there. His 81st percentile height is very good, 77th percentile weight. And he does a great job at the catch point with his body, controlling it to give himself windows in contested catch situations where he does excel. He does a really good job tracking the ball and slowing his stride down to create contact from a receiver on his back pocket and then separating downfield for catches. He had 17 receptions for 352 yards and 2 touchdowns against Alabama and Georgia in 2021, so he did it against the best of the best. Now, as for his weaknesses, he aligned exclusively on the right side of the formation at Tennessee, and he ran a very limited route tree, and so he's going to have to expand that at the next level. He won against press with size, but not with technique, and he's honestly not that big by NFL standards, so he will have to refine his technique, and overall he's just not a burner on the outside. I think his scheme fit is as an X-wide receiver, a big-bodied guy on the outside who can win contested catch separations in the NFL. Tucker Kraft is my 74th player on my big board and my 5th ranked tight end in the class. He entered the 2022 season with hype after a 65 reception, 780-yard, 6-touchdown campaign in 2021. Unfortunately, he suffered an ankle injury that caused him to miss 5 games in 2022. He is 6'5", 254 pounds. He ran a 4.69 40-yard dash and overall had a 9.67 relative athletic score. In 2022, in 9 games, he had 27 receptions for 348 yards, that's 12.9 yards per reception, and 3 touchdowns. He is a good athlete. He's actually an excellent athlete for his size. He's got great size and mass. His spider chart won't blow you out of the water, but he's solid in every aspect, which is why you see that high relative athletic score. He has really good body control at the catch point. He does a good job of contorting his body, using his size to shield off linebackers and safeties, and create a window to catch the ball. Like I said, he's got great size and mass. He's a good blocker, although I think he's a better blocker in space. Out in space where he can use his athleticism, his block targeting is really good. In line, he's got the ability to block in line, but he's not the best blocker, although I think he can develop into that at the next level. He's not the best route runner, however, and he's got some drop tendencies. So overall, Tucker Kraft, he's a raw player coming from a non-Division I school. There's a lot of areas of his game that he needs refinement, but I do think he projects really well to the next level as a versatile piece for your tight end room. He can block, he can make tough catches over the middle. With his route running, I think he could become a mismatch piece for a defense. So I think he projects well to the NFL. He is a versatile guy. He needs a little bit of seasoning. You wouldn't want him to be your tight end one in 2022. But given some time, given the ability to learn from NFL coaching and behind the right veteran, I think Tucker Kraft could be a really solid day 2 prospect. Siaki Ika is the number 73 player on my big board and my 7th ranked interior defensive lineman. He was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school and spent 2 years at LSU before transferring to Baylor in 2021. In 2021, he won Big 12 Defensive Newcomer of the Year and had a very good season. However, he failed to build on that in 2022 as he had a down year that saw his draft stock begin to fall. He is 6'3", 335 pounds, has 22nd percentile arm length, ran a 5.39 40-yard dash, which is 5th percentile, with a 1.88 10-yard split, which is 1st percentile. His shuttle was 4th percentile, and overall he had a 2.6 relative athletic score. In 2022, he recorded 24 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 passes defensed. Ika has tremendous size. His weight is 94th percentile for defensive tackles, and he plays with really good leverage in the run game. You could say he's immovable in the run game, even against double teams. However, he has short arms, and those short arms give him a small tackle radius, and so if the run isn't directly at him, he has a hard time making a play. And then he has very little ability as a pass rusher. No sacks in 2022. He cut about 23 pounds for the combine, and yet he still came in 94th percentile. So it's a step in the right direction, but he played very heavy in college, and it limited his ability to play snaps, and I think it will continue to do so at the next level. I think Ika needs to cut some more weight, he needs to get a little more athletic, and he's going to have to develop as a pass rusher. As for his scheme fit, I think he is exclusively a nose tackle, a 0 technique or maybe a 1 technique on early downs in an odd front. He's a guy that you can put out there on running downs to clog the middle, but unfortunately early in his career, it would be unreasonable to expect anything else from Siaki Ika. Deon Henley is my 72nd ranked player on my big board and my 6th ranked linebacker in this draft class. He was a 2-star recruit coming out of high school who committed to Nevada as a wide receiver. After 2 seasons, he switched to defensive back and then to linebacker, and in 2022, he transferred to Washington State. He is 6 foot tall, 225 pounds, ran a 4.54 40-yard dash, which is 88th percentile, and he also had an 88th percentile broad jump. Overall, he had an 8.57 relative athletic score. In 2022, he notched 106 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 1 interception, 1 pass defensed, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Henley is a quick twitch athlete with an explosive first step. He's capable of mugging the A-gap and getting through with his first step as a blitzer, and he's also capable of bailing out into coverage. He has really good ball skills and coverage that come from his wide receiver background, and he's very good in man coverage. He possesses a lot of range, sideline to sideline. He can run with fast tight ends over the middle of the field, and he's a very good tackler. He had only a 5.2% missed tackle rate in 2022 and a 90.3 tackling grade per PFF. In addition to that, he's a plus special teams contributor, which is so important for day 2 prospects if they can get on the field early in their career in that way. As for his weaknesses, he struggles in the box against the running game. He can get washed out of gaps entirely with his 5th percentile weight. And he also processes the run slowly as well, so he's not really able to use his athleticism to get ahead of blockers in the running game. That's an element of his game that he's really going to have to elevate, but I think he can do that. He's very new at this position. He also struggles to hit his landmarks in zone coverage and feel routes behind and in front of him, and just generally lacks physicality as you would expect of an undersized linebacker. I think he projects to the next level as a sub-package linebacker, someone that you can bring in to man up athletic running backs and tight ends. DeMarvin Overshown is the 71st player on my big board and my 5th ranked linebacker in this class. He was recruited as a safety out of high school, but after struggling to get on the field, he transitioned to linebacker. He is 6'3", 229 pounds, ran a 4.56 40-yard dash, which is 85th percentile, and he also had an 85th percentile broad jump. However, his 15 reps on the bench were only 5th percentile for the position. Overall, he had an 8.12 relative athletic score. In 2022, he recorded 96 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 5 passes defensed. Now, he made a lot of progress from 2021 to 2022, which is very encouraging to see for someone so new to the linebacker position. He is very good in coverage. He has the defensive background, and it shows up in his route recognition and in his transitions in coverage. He has the length to match up with big tight ends at 72nd percentile height, and he's got the athleticism to match up with some slot receivers, which makes him very versatile in your defense. He also has fantastic range in the running game. Sometimes he's able to beat offensive linemen to the spot and just string out plays or cut them off and force them back inside, especially on wide zone runs. However, he's often slow to diagnose running plays, which leads to him being easily blocked, and once he's blocked, he's unable to shed blocks and get off. And so this affects him most on inside runs. Like I said, on outside runs, he's sometimes able to outrun people, but running up the middle is a big concern for him. He also surrenders far too many broken tackles or missed tackles. He goes for big hits a lot of the time, and he had a 19.2% missed tackle rate over the course of his career at Texas. Early in his career, I think Overshown projects best as a sub-package linebacker. You could maybe develop him into a weak side linebacker in base formations, but you're going to want to protect him against the running game, especially on short yardage situations. And there you have it, the number 71 through 80 players on my big board. If you enjoyed this video, be sure you click like and subscribe wherever you're at. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any more content. Be sure you check out my number 81 through 100 players if you haven't checked that out already. There will be plenty of content coming your way in the lead up to the draft, and it will all culminate in a live draft show for nights 1 and 2 of the NFL draft. So stay tuned for more information.